Good evening from Rocky Mountain PBS iNews. I'm Cynthia Hessen. This is Colorado State of Mind. Coming up September 17th, next Wednesday, will be U.S. Constitution Day in America, an occasion observed by a variety of groups around the country. In fact, next Tuesday, the day before, in Washington at the National Press Club, the president of the American Constitution Society on Law and Policy, the CEO of the National Constitution Society, and others will meet to discuss the upcoming Supreme Court term, which, as you know, starts the first Monday in October. Here in Colorado for 18 years, there has been the Liberty Day Institute, recently named that, an organization founded by Andy and Kathy McKean and dedicated to civics education for children and adults, children of 5th grade and older. At libertyday.org, one of the first things you will see is a quiz that says, "Are you smarter than a founding father?" So it's clear that from the start, this is an educational and engaging tool. Andy McKean joins me now, along with his friend and colleague, Fred Holden, an author and presenter who has written about the Constitution at length and some other things. It's good to have both of you here. Andy, let's just bounce right back there to the beginning when you and Kathy, you having been a teacher and a Peace Corps volunteer, there came a time when suddenly you were brought into this. How did that happen?
Well, my wife and I are members of the Lions Club in Denver. We're a service group, and we decided to do a literacy program during the summer at libraries in Denver to help support kids reading. And the library was closed on July 4th. This was a summer program. And I said to the children, what are we celebrating on July 4th? We're not meeting. What's this all about? What holiday are we having? And none of the students knew what it was. And I think if,
right here in Colorado.
Yeah, I think if any of them had known, I probably wouldn't be doing this. But I went to my Lions Club, and there's one of my friends at the Lions Club said, well, I'll give you $5,000 if you raise $5,000, and I'll introduce you to Barry Hirschfeld, a printer in town. And that's how it started. We started working with high school students initially. And then we were approached by elementary teachers and said, we have to do this in 5th grade as part of the state standards and part of our coursework. So could you create some materials for us, which we've done. And we have a website now for teachers and students.
It's quite extensive.
It's extensive. It's expanded over the years. And now we've expanded it around the country through Lions and Rotary clubs and Kiwanis and American Legion Post, Daughters of the American Revolution, all different groups. Anyone can participate.
Fred, you're someone else who has felt for a long time that not enough people are up on the Constitution. How did you come to that realization?
I was Director of Economic Affairs for the Adolph Coors Company for 5 of 15 years I worked there. And I got to teach economics to employees. But where I came from was back in 1982. At that time, I went to a Making of America seminar, which was put on by the National Center for Constitutional Studies, and it changed my life. And I have been to, I think, 6 of them since then. And at the end of them, people come out with 2 really profound, strong emotions. One, they're crying. They didn't know how great the founding of this country was and how important it was, and how the founders wrangled and rattled and argued, but they got it together. But the other emotion was total disappointment and angst, anger. Why weren't we taught this in school?
Interesting. In 2004, there was a federal law that the Constitution must be taught. How is that rolling out now?
Well, when Robert Byrd, senator from West Virginia, sponsored it, because he'd been getting reports from across America about the lack of knowledge on civics of our kids. So he said, I want to do something about this. So it says there shall be an educational program throughout America in any educational institute that receives federal funds, which is all the public schools. And so once that was passed and signed by the president, at that time President Bush, tells you how long ago it was, that a memorandum was sent out, which I have a copy of, to all the chief state school officers, which is the head of K through 12 education in all 50 states. And then they let all the superintendents know, the superintendents let the principals know, the principals let the teachers know. So everyone knows about it, and the idea is to teach about what's in the Constitution.
Do schools have to document that they have done this?
No, that isn't part of the law.
They should, but they don't.
They don't.
That's
That's not.
interesting.
That's
The
not
law
required.
doesn't have any follow-up?
No, I would like the school districts voluntarily, since it isn't in the law. It would be nice if some school districts that maybe hear about this, or people that have contacts with school districts, to ask them if they could do that, because I think that would be very helpful, and we could present that to Congress too, because they're the ones that passed the law. It'd be nice to show that there is that follow-up, and that one thing I'm asking teachers to do is have their students, as a homework assignment, go home and work with their family to write down what they learned, and then that could be collected, and maybe you could even show it here on TV.
Well,
Some of the kids.
thank you for putting us in that corner. Thank you, Andy. We may do that. Let me jump back to Fred, who is always carrying around documents. What are all these things?
Well, these are just different forms of the Constitution, with the Liberty Day one on top, and inside of that, wonderfully, the good work they do are some flashcards, 24 of them. So a student, and they talk to their representatives and senators, ask the question, they got the answer. I had one other man who said, he wrote the Constitution Made Easy. He said, I have found one question that I ask representatives, and that is, may I ask you a question? Yes. How many parts are there to the U.S. Constitution? He said, they don't know. It's 7.
All
so
right.
it's a good way. And then the last thing is the Colorado Constitution. I just
We
think
should
people
never
ought to know.
forget that we have one of
yeah,
those
we
too.
have one of our own.
All right, I have learned a lot here tonight, and I thank you both.
And it's just the beginning. I
Andy
hope.
McKean and Fred Holden, thank you very much. I'm Cynthia Hessen of Rocky Mountain PBS iNews. Good night.
When the Constitution was signed, 9 of the 13 colonies had to ratify it. And they had debates and discussions, and there was a lot of arguments, the Federalist Papers. People need to know that. It wasn't a slam dunk, as Fred was saying earlier.